What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Nick 4K video. Today we're checking out another video for Movies with James, and this video is titled DVD versus Blu-ray versus 4K Blu-ray. Is it worth the upgrade in 2025? Let's check it out.
Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're doing something a little bit different. We are looking at how viable DVDs are in 2025. Yes, and I am comparing DVDs, of course, to our fancy 4Ks that we have now, and as well as 4Ks, the Blu-ray versions of these movies. So yeah, I have gone through and I have watched a select number of scenes from some of these movies, and then watched them on the DVD, the Blu-ray, as well as the 4K. And I want to tell you guys why I think DVD exists in 2025.
Okay, so before we get too far in this video, I'm going to tell you this. If you've watched my videos before, you know what I'm going to say. The 4K Blu-ray is the best. However, not all 4Ks are made the same. And some 4Ks are rough. And there's some Blu-rays that are still pretty good. But ultimately, if I can't get the 4K, I will get the Blue. If I can't get the Blue, I might get the DVD if the movie is what I actually want. So that's how I am. I will get the DVD only if I cannot get the Blue and if I actually want the movie. If it's a movie that I don't necessarily care about, I will probably still pick it up on Blue. But on DVD, nope. That's just how I am. I am more a progressive when it comes to physical media. I think we should always have the best version of something. And if it's not on Blu-ray, then it's not worth picking up unless I really, really want it. And that's very rare that I actually do that. That's just my perspective. If you have a different perspective, that's great. But I just wanted to clarify that before we continue the video. So there you go.
DVDs then. So DVDs, their tech specs are quite dated, of course. With DVDs, they are all 480p, which is 720, of course, by 480 in resolution. Blu-rays, on the other hand, they go up to 1920 by 1080, of course, offering full HD. And this is largely due to a disc size. So a dual layer DVD disc has a capacity of around 8 gigabytes, whereas a Blu-ray has 50 gigabytes. Compare that to a 4K, of course, a dual layer actually has a capacity of 100 gigabytes. So of course, more data on the discs means more quality, means more of everything that we love on our screens. So I was watching Avatar, and this is the first bit of example where I saw a lot of detail that wasn't on DVD. There was one scene in particular where one of the spaceships arrives at the tree, and there's a lot of movement because of like the helicopter motion, I guess, of the propellers.
Could you imagine watching Avatar on DVD? I mean, at least Blue. Come on. Like, I get DVD for like Grandma's Boy because there's no Blu-ray for that yet. I get DVD for Borat. I get DVD for a lot of those other movies that are comedies. The Hangover. I get that. But to try to watch Avatar on DVD when there is a Blu-ray available at least is crazy to me. I don't get that at all.
That was moving all the trees. On DVD, that scene didn't do very well, as you can see there, whereas on 4K, especially on Blu-ray as well, there was more fidelity in the movement. I think overall, for when I've been looking at a few other of these movies, scenes where there is fast-moving shots, action scenes, and of course in things like Mad Max with the car scenes, etc., anything with this movement and sudden, quick movements on a screen, I feel like the DVD really lacks in that. The Blu-ray surprisingly holds its own. In my opinion, I think the Blu-ray is a massive step up from the DVD, but the jump from 4K to Blu-ray isn't as great. There's definitely a jump there, but it's not as great. Where DVD, I think, actually survives and does quite well is in dialogue scenes. Anything slow-paced, anything that's just, somebody's face, somebody's just talking, a very, nice scene, I guess, like in 300 here. This scene is very easy going. There's no fast movements on there. It's just very paced well, and it works. One thing that I think Blu-ray actually does lack in, as well as DVD, is color. I think color in both the DVD and Blu-ray format really lacks in comparison to 4K. Using things like Avatar as an example, of course, with a black...
Well, here, let me just explain this quick. So a DVD is like its own 720p image, 1080p, and then 4K. We already established that. But the thing about the 4K is there's actually an HDR codec with it to help the colors actually look more natural and better. Where the DVD, they usually don't do much editing to those, but the 1080p image, they actually try to brighten things up so it matches an HDR image, but it's not actually HDR. It's kind of like a false HDR image from a certain perspective. So colors will seem brighter, but they're actually more crushed, especially when you compare them to the 4K. And you can see that in these images. Obviously, 4K is the best, but 1080p is still good for certain movies. And like he said, DVD, when they're standing still, looks fine. But as soon as they start moving, it looks rough. The bitrate just cannot hold up. It's too mushy. If you can't get the 4K, at least go blue. That's my perspective, especially when it comes to movies like Avatar.
So really black, Dolby Vision, you have the HDR, of course, those HDR profiles that have been loaded, some being Dolby Vision, some being HDR10, depending which one gets supported on the disc, etc. But HDR is a really, really big selling point, in my opinion, to 4K. That much so that it's even more of a selling point, in my opinion, than Blu-ray. Color, I thought, was very comparable in terms of, when you're looking at...
Oh, and by the way, the reason why this one looks darker is because the video I'm watching is not HDR. So this is not actually what the image looks like. I'm sure the majority of you watching this is probably thinking that, but if you don't know about HDR and you're watching this, you're probably thinking like, that's way too dark. How is he defending it? It's because that's not actually the way the image is supposed to look. It's just because of the video itself. So just want to point that out right now. And in fact, it probably looks like this, but way better. So that's the best way you can kind of say that.
Color on a Blu-ray versus color on a DVD, it's very hard to justify the difference. In some scenes though, I think the DVD does blow out a lot of like highlights, so anything that's high and white and I guess is overexposed, it does a lot more overexposure rather than the Blu-ray versus the of course the 4K. Sound though is different across the board. All these 4 DVDs had a 5.1 Dolby surround sound. The Blu-ray of 300 has the exact same 5.1 surround sound. Avatar Blu-ray has a DTS HD master audio, and that is again in 5.1. Mad Max, on the other hand, on the Blu-ray has Dolby Atmos, which is another benefit to some Blu-rays. And then The Force Awakens has a DTS HD master audio 7.1, which is obviously a little bit better than the DVD. So sound is where you can get some upgrades. If you have 7.1 surround sound, sometimes just going for a Blu-ray is better because you're not going to get 7.1 on a DVD. However, some Blu-rays, as I said, do have and implement Dolby Atmos tracks. It's a very common thing. Some new releases get Dolby Atmos on them, and it's a big benefit. Of course, all the 4Ks in this instance have Dolby Atmos. It's that that you're getting that really, really good surround sound such as Dolby Atmos and DTS-X. Overall though, I will say I was very surprised. I decided to pick these up from CEX, in comparison, just seeing the price of them. £1 for Star Wars, £1.50 for Fury Road, £1 for 300, and then £1.50 for Avatar. And I decided to think, I wonder what these are actually like. What is a new release like on DVD? I stuck a DVD in a while back, and it was all...
And that's a really good point for DVD, is that DVDs are super cheap. Obviously, the brand new ones can be like $15, which is $15-20. I wouldn't pay that much for a DVD. Some people might, but like, there's so many DVDs. Every movie effectively has a DVD. Not every movie has a blue, and especially not every movie has a 4K. So the DVD is more readily available, and they're super cheap. So I understand the argument of, if you don't have a lot of money, you got to work with your budget. Not going to have any complaints when it comes to the pricing part of DVDs, especially if you're trying to cut back on streaming services. I know that streaming services have thousands of movies on there, but if you're only going to watch 5 of those movies, you might as well just pay $6-7 for 5 DVDs of those movies, and then cut one of the streaming services out altogether, right? Like, that's kind of the argument for that. So yeah, I get it.
Awful, really, really bad, blown up on the 55-inch. It just looked really, really bad. So I just always had this perception that DVDs were way, way worse. And why do we see things like this on charts each week on the sales of physical media? Of course, DVDs come out, they are like £10 here in the UK. Blu-rays come out, they're £15, and 4Ks come out and they're £25. So, cost-wise, DVD are seen as the ones that people buy. But why? My question was, why are people buying DVDs in 2025? And I think from doing this little exercise, I think I've learned a lot about DVDs and where they sit in the market. I have a few things that I've thought about. If you are somebody that has a HD TV and I think it's below 43 inches or less, you have a soundbar for your audio, and that's it. Then a DVD probably is the way to go for you in your setup. If you are somebody, in my opinion, who has a 43-inch or higher TV, I think you definitely benefit from having Blu-ray. Add into that then, if of course you have that 5.1 Dolby surround or more, then I definitely think Blu-ray is the way to go, because you're getting the best out of the audio that you possibly can. But I think when you get to a certain level, I think when you go over 43 inches, you are seeing more. I think the resolution then matters more, because the image is getting stretched out. That 480p image really gets stretched out. And I did this on a 55-inch TV. And, there's certain examples, especially in Avatar, where, text on the screen especially, resolution really matters. And I think screen size also impacts that as well. I personally only recommend 4K if somebody has a really good sound system and, of course, a TV that enables Dolby Vision. Then you will have the best experience that you possibly can. For those people that are watching DVDs on a 55-inch TV with the 5.1 surround, I really think if you upgraded to Blu-ray, you'd benefit from something like maybe getting a Dolby Atmos track or a 7.1 or a DTS HD master audio. You'd get a little bit better audio, and I think you'd see a massive jump in terms of that resolution on the screen. So I understand why people are buying DVDs in 2025. I really do, and there is a market for it. I don't think Blu-ray is going to take over DVD at all, because obviously physical media is on a decline, whether we like it or not. It is. It's getting pulled out of stores left, right and center, and more people, I think, are stopping collecting than actually starting to collect. But DVDs, I think, do have a place, especially for the price that they are. But Blu-rays are just as cheap nowadays, and you can pick up really inexpensive Blu-ray players. I wouldn't recommend everyone to get 4K unless you're like me and you're a bit of an audio nut and you really want to get Dolby Atmos and DTS:X like me. That's really why I'm in 4K. Blu-ray is the way to go in terms of the happy medium in between. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little video of me looking at DVD and where it sits in 2025 in comparison to Blu-rays, of course, as well as 4Ks. I had a really eye-opening experience with this, and yeah, there it is. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon, and of course, I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, great video, man. Like I always say, work with your budget, but if you have the budget, try to do the best you can, especially when it comes to keeping physical media alive, keeping studios and boutiques alive, well, aware that people still want them, I should say, so therefore keeping boutiques alive. I will always try to tell people to, aim for 4K, obviously, because that's the one I really want to see continue to get better. And as we've seen, although he said it is declining from a certain perspective, it has declined. But in these last few years, we've seen an actual uptick of physical media, especially when it comes to 4K steelbooks. Those have been blowing up and been selling out. So if you are just purely a DVD collector, I kind of see that as like maybe a loss in investment compared to if you were to do a 4K steelbook. That's at least some type of investment even. So you're not just like paying your money and then in 2 years that DVD, let's say you pay 15 bucks for a DVD, in 2 years that DVD is $1. But if you pay 30 bucks for a 4K steelbook, in 2 years that steelbook could be worth 60, 70 bucks. So there's more of an investment element to it. That's why I actually kind of like to collect physical myself, is the idea that like, okay, I'm gonna buy this steel in a couple years, let me see what the price is for. And the majority of the times the steels are actually more valuable, especially if they don't have any dents or scratches or anything like that. So yeah, solid video. What do you guys think? Are you excited for the future of physical media? Do you think that 4K is the end of it, or do you think that 8K will eventually become a thing? Let me know in the comments below. I think it'd be an interesting conversation. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn notifications for more videos. If you want to check out any more of my videos, they should be floating here. Go ahead and click those links. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you next one. Peace.